birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. So how many people have actually been to San Francisco? Has anyone visited the city?
Yes,
Oh,
many
yeah.
years ago.
Yep.
Very pretty. I remember. I think once or twice I was there.
Hmm.
I think one street, a crooked street, Lombard. Or Lombard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have to do Lombard Street. All right. And Carolyn, do you have a question? Or you just your hand was up there for a second?
I just was saying I've been to San Francisco.
Yep, great. All right. Okay, we got a couple more people getting connected here, and then we'll get started on our tour today. It's a good Friday afternoon thing to do a little tour. All right. And Carolyn, do you have another question?
No.
Oh, okay. Your hand just went up again, I guess. I could see the little raised hand. All right. All right, then. Well, why don't we get started today on our little tour of San Francisco? I want to welcome everyone. I'm going to share out my screen here. Here we go. So today we're going to be taking a little tour of San Francisco. We're going to hit the highlights of the city, so to speak. Some of you who have been here before, you've probably been to some of these areas. My name is Donna. I'm your guide for today. I have worked for over 30 years in the IT industry. I enjoy helping people get over their technology fears. We are Get Set Up. We're seniors teaching seniors about technology. We have social hours and programming such as this one today. You can get a recording of this by requesting it at help@getsetup.io. And for the people that I guess we're live streaming, hello out there. Come register and join us so we can get to know you and you can be part of our community. We are not paid to promote anything in this session today. This is strictly just for fun and enjoyment. All right. And so today, of course, we're going to be just taking a look at San Francisco. You can imagine you're there and just sit back and relax as we go and tour the city. And we have already asked if several of you have been to San Francisco before. So we'll go ahead and let me bring out my slides here. Hold on here. I have to make a quick change here. Sorry about that. The screen's in my way. All righty. Okay, so let me head out here. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to take a little look at the city itself. San Francisco was originally a Spanish mission. It was Spanish and then it was a Mexican mission. This is downtown San Francisco today, what it looks like. We have the Bay Bridge, they call it. We've got Treasure Island. This used to be an old naval base. Now it's converted. People live out there in their little houses. Got a great view of the city out here. And then the other side of the bridge heads out to Oakland, to the East Bay, as we call it. If I pan a little bit here to the right, AT&T Park. This is the ballpark. This is where when you see it on TV, people are hitting the balls out into the water when they go to the right field. You'll have all kinds of little boats that come in here to try to catch the foul balls. And then as we pan over here towards the left, Pier 39, this is a popular destination for tourists to come and, do some shopping, dine at some great restaurants that are down there. This little speck right here, this is Alcatraz, the island of Alcatraz, the famous prison. Off to the distance, Angel Island. This is this largest natural island that we have in the bay. And as we span some more to see more of the city, Golden Gate Bridge is right here. To the north, this is called the Marin Headlands. It's a national park area. Lots of mountains and hills to hike. And then on the opposite side of the mountains, on the other side, there are beaches. A lot of famous beaches that you can go to. Panning out a little bit more of the city. See the Presidio? This was an old army base. Now it's taken care of by the city of San Francisco. They're renting out all the old generals' houses, and the barracks are all out, rental units. So a lot of people live out there now. Golden Gate Park, very large city park. The city itself is really only 7 miles by 7 miles, kind of square. The Golden Gate Park takes 3.5 miles of that. So half of the size of the city is the park. All of this here is the West Coast, the Pacific Ocean. It's all beach on the western side of the city. Don't have a lot of beach weather here, though, in San Francisco. Anyone that has visited the city, you know what I'm talking about. How many people had to buy a sweatshirt when you came to San Francisco?
It was very cold, very cold. I think we had to buy a sweatshirt. I think on the Golden Gate Bridge, right near the bridge, we bought sweatshirts. It was freezing. We were there, I think, July or August.
Yeah, it gets really cold. It's the coldest spot in the country in the summertime is really
Yeah,
here.
in the summer, right.
In the su-
I was so surprised.
About 65 degrees in July and August.
Right.
So when everyone
Right.
else is suffering, it's 100, 120 degrees. We're sitting here with our sweatshirts on. It's a good time to come if you want to cool off, though, in the summertime.
Beautiful. We had
But it gets hot, though, in September, October. That's when we'll get a few days where it's in the 90s here in the city. It gets pretty hot, and unfortunately, not much AC, not very much air conditioning in any of the buildings. So it can be kind of uncomfortable here in September and October. So yeah, but it is perfect though. You know, year round, our average temperature really is 65 degrees year round. So yeah, our fluctuation points. So when we talk about San Francisco, you know, originally it was a mission. It was conquered by the United States in 1846. In 1848, we had a ton of people come from all over the world. The city only had 1,000 people in it. And then in 1848, there was a gold rush. They found gold up in the Sierra Mountains. Everyone came from all over the world. And it just instantly, the population of San Francisco just blew open. California was admitted as a state in 1850. So give you an idea of what we're talking about. So, of course, the most popular place to go is the Golden Gate Bridge. Here's a shot of the bridge. We'll go onto the bridge here. You can see a nice little view downtown. You know, this bridge is a symbol of not just San Francisco. A lot of times when they talk about California, they mention the Golden Gate Bridge. Here's Angel Island here, Alcatraz. Looking back, you can see the span of the bridge here. It was opened in 1937. It took 4 years to build this bridge. Take a little tour down the bridge. You can kind of see what it looks like to just be on the bridge, the traffic. It's 1.7 miles long. Get a little view here. Looking around. It was declared one of the wonders of the modern world by the American Society of Civil Engineering. It was the longest suspension bridge, the main span in the world in 1937 up until 1964. And then, of course, bigger bridges were built. The main span is 4,200 feet long, and the total height of those towers is 746 feet. And if anyone's ever dared walk out to the middle of this bridge, it's cold and very, very breezy. It's definitely very windy in the middle span, but it's a walkable bridge. You can definitely walk across it. Now, last time you visited, you may have noticed something that has changed. We have a barrier now. We never had a barrier in this bridge. For decades, they talked about putting a barrier because we did have head-on collisions and that type of thing. And we finally did put one in just 2015. We put in a barrier just to show you what this looks like. I actually I got up early in the morning and I went to go watch this about 7 o'clock in the morning. They shut the bridge down for about 48 hours. They had 2 teams of people working from both ends and they met in the middle. Each of these concrete pieces here, there's 2 pieces together in each section, weighs about 1,200 pounds. So they put this barrier in and they move it during the day. They will move it back and forth just to show you what this looks like. We have a thing called a zipper truck. I know some other cities are using these too, where it just pushes these over one lane, just like the little Legos. It's pretty amazing. So they do that now twice a day to move it back and forth to accommodate. The bridge is only 6 lanes long. It's rather narrow because of the age of the bridge. And this is a way they have to accommodate rush hour traffic going in both directions during the day. So that's what that looks like. That was in 2015. Other interesting aspects of the bridge is we had the famous 50th anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge, May 26, 1987. 250,000 people got onto this bridge. They had another 500,000 people around the approaches. They expected about 20,000 people to show up because it was early in the morning. It started at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Flattened out the span. Just, there's a normal arch in the bridge. It just flattened it out. And I hate to admit it, but I was 27 years old. I was in the middle somewhere in the span. I was one of those crazy people that got up to come in there and flatten the bridge. We almost broke it that day. There's some great shots. This is a nice view from the towers. You can see the view here. You'll get a link to this article. You can take a look at it. Just all the people on the bridge. It was crazy.
It looks like the New York City Marathon.
Yes.
Exactly.
Look at all the
Same
people.
thing.
I was in between the 2 towers, kind of on the left side. But you know what was funny? You always have jokesters. There were a bunch of people, like it had to have been hundreds, probably. They started swaying back and forth together, and they moved the bridge. It actually did a big shift. And then everyone got quiet because we thought, oh, we're going to die now. So it was kind of funny. You can kind of see pictures here. They had marching bands. I mean, they did the whole thing. And then they had this wonderful fireworks display at night. Oh, my God. They had the fireworks raining down from the roadway of the bridge and just all over the place to celebrate it. It was quite a spectacle. All right. And if you've ever been to the bridge at all, you may have noticed that we do have a fort. Has anyone gone to Fort Point? It's right below the bridge right here. This is an old Civil War fort. It was built in 1853 by the Army. Because again, this area was all a base at this point. They feared that there was going to be an attack on San Francisco during the Civil War. So they had 126 cannons. They had 7-foot thick walls. You can come in here and do tours. It's quite interesting. It's right under the bridge here. They had 500 infantrymen that were stationed here. Never fired a shot. No one ever came. It became a National Historic Site in 1970. And if you're ever in the Crissy Field area, kind of west of Pier 39, if you walk along the water and you end up in the Crissy Field in the Marina District area, you keep walking on the path, and at the end of the path is this fort. Did anyone say that they've ever been to this? No? Okay. Yeah, so it's an interesting little tidbit there. All right. Now let's talk about, of course, one of the most famous places to go when you're in San Francisco is Alcatraz. It's a very infamous prison. It only operated for 30 years. It closed in 1963. Let's take a little look here at Alcatraz. I'll show you a little bit. This is the front of the cell block. And if you'd be just standing here looking out, you would see the Bay Bridge over here, downtown San Francisco. So it closed in 1963. It opened up as a tourist attraction in 1973. And if I pan out over here to the right, there's the Golden Gate Bridge. They only had 1,576 convicts. They never had more than 250 people here at a time. You can see a little bit of the gardens and stuff down here, some of the ruins of some of the old buildings that used to be here. They said sometimes there were more guards than there were prisoners. There's 450 cells in the cell block, and the cells are 10 foot by 4 feet. Let's take a little look here. You'll get a link to this. Wei Wei here is a Chinese artist. He's an activist too. Put in this installation at Alcatraz of some art. You can take a look at these. You just click on the links here. This is the new industries building. This is normally not part of the tour when you go to Alcatraz. This is the building where they would work, where the prisoners would work. I can put the full screen on here. So you can get a look at this building by looking at this art exhibit here. And you can click ahead to get to look at the art. It's kind of an interesting display because you can kind of fly through it. But you can see a little bit. This must have been where the supervisors hung out in their offices while everyone worked. And you take a look at this building, what it looks like. Some of these areas, they have the glass is broken, and you can get some great pictures of San Francisco from the distance through the broken glass. So if we go into this next building, no, it's not going to let us go in there. Let me go back out here. You can see more of this when you look at the article. You can go through the, they also show you, for instance, there's secret tunnels that you can explore. You can go into some of the A block area, the hospital, which they say is haunted. And there's the dining hall. Let's take a look at the dining hall. I got to spend the night one time here. They normally would let Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts groups stay overnight to, help, do little tasks to get to stay, over the weekend. And I had a friend who was friends with one of the park rangers, and he had a cancellation, and they were getting ready for a large powwow that was going to be held on the island. And they really needed to do some work and get the island cleaned up. And so he asked my friend, hey, we could use a group of adults to come out and clean up. So I got recruited. Oh, they worked us so hard that Saturday. We were out there, weeding, and oh my Lord, we did a lot of work. But he said we did the work of about 6 different kid groups. So it's kind of interesting. So this is the dining hall. How many people here have gone to the Alcatraz tour?
I wanted to go, but it was closed.
Yeah.
It was closed, or maybe it was foggy. I don't know what it was.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They said it was closed, and forget it. We never saw it.
Yeah, you have to book ahead for it, definitely. It gets booked up, and yeah, it's definitely, I don't know if it's open right now. It might be. Well, we'll get to walk in here. And someone just asked in the chat if the Bay Bridge was the one that collapsed with the World Series. Yes, that's the one. In the earlier slide, let me go to the earlier slide when we were looking over here. This is the Bay Bridge. It has suspension on this side, and it was an old iron side, style bridge on the opposite side over here going to Oakland. And this is where we had the collapse during the World Series in 1989. They have replaced it. The bridge, oh boy, I'm trying to remember when it opened. It was just within the past 6 years, I think, the new bridge opened. It took them a long time to decide what they were going to build. Can you believe it? From 1989 to now, it took us that long to get the bridge. But yeah, it just opened, I would say 6, 7 years ago. They made it another suspension bridge on the other side. Suspension bridges are much better in earthquakes because they sway. So that was the reason why we had the problem over here. We had part of the deck fell down from the upper to the bottom deck. And unfortunately, some people got killed. The bridge was closed for over a month for them to fix it. It was a big thing that had happened during that earthquake. All right, so let's go into the cell house here. Take a look around at Alcatraz. You can see here what it looks like, the building. It used to be a citadel. The army used to actually be out on the island at one point. And let's not let me in. Hold on. I got to click on the dot. Here we go. It was a citadel, and then I think it was about 4 stories tall. They chopped it off. They left the basement still has the walkways from the old army citadel. And then they built the cell block on top. So this is the people waiting to get in. This is down in the basement. But, we're VIPs, so we get to move ahead of the line today. We can come right up the stairs here into the cell block. Here we go. So this is what it looks like in here. You can see the cells. Each row, they have a lever at the end of each row, and they can slam all the doors closed at one time. It's getting old now, though. They don't play around with it too much because they're worried about people getting locked in there, because then they got to call the locksmith from San Francisco. He's got to get on a boat and come out to fix it. You could take a look at, here's one of the cells here. We'll step inside. So these were 10 foot by 4 foot. You can see kind of what it looks like here. Not too much room to move around in. And of course we had, several floors up here. Another floor of cells up here. So this is what it looks like inside. It's a lot of birds on the island. A lot of birds nesting. So at nighttime, it's very noisy between the wind and the birds. Of course, one of the well-known criminals was Al Capone and the Birdman. The Birdman was here. We also had a lot of movies about Escape from Alcatraz, all types of historical stories about Alcatraz. So it's a fun place. If you do come to San Francisco, though, plan ahead and book it ahead of time because it does get filled up. All righty. Well, it's time for a food stop. Clam chowder bowls. San Francisco is known for the sourdough bread. Came from the gold rush. The people had their own strains of sourdough. They started making sourdough bread in San Francisco. San Francisco has its own, it has a very old strain of sourdough here in the city that goes back to the gold rush. So you can enjoy sourdough with clam chowder. Great dish. Anyone ever had that here? Favorite subject? Yeah, these are pretty good. All righty. Well, so now that we've had our clam chowder bowl, and now, it's going to be hard to walk up the hills. So instead, we're going to take a cable car ride. So here we go. Here we are at 5th and Market Street in San Francisco, where you catch one of the 2 lines. They only have 2 lines left in the city. So we can jump on the car here and go for a little ride. There we go. So the cable cars, they were introduced in 1873. They had many lines all up and down all the hills in San Francisco. They had these cable cars. They were built for the locals to get up and down the hills because, there's a lot of hills in the downtown area. So people needed a way to get themselves up and down. Since 1964, these trams, they have been considered historical monuments. They're moving historical monuments because we do have 2 lines that still work in the city. And it has been the only public transit system to be declared a historic monument. So these lines all take you, since we were downtown at 5th and Market, it'll take us cross-cut over to Pier 39 area. Pier 39, Fisherman's Wharf, great area. It's most visited location in the city. We have Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Has anyone ever been to the old wax museum that was here in San Francisco? It was kind of funny because the people didn't look like who they were supposed to look like. And Madame Tussauds just opened up, I think it was 2 years ago, downtown here. So we finally have a decent wax museum. We also have places like Ghirardelli Square, of course, the famous chocolate makers. The cannery, which is part of Del Monte. It used to be Del Monte Foods canning site. They used to bring the fruits and vegetables from the Central Valley. They would bring them to the cannery down here near Pier 39 and can the fruits and vegetables and put them on the ships. Of course, now it's full of shops and restaurants that you can enjoy. There's also a maritime park where you can see, they have the USS Pompano. It's a World War II submarine that you can go and tour. So now we're over here at Pier 39. We're at the end of the pier. People like to take their pictures over here because you can see Alcatraz is right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see the cell block here. And then, of course, if I go to the left, you're going to see there's some ferries that we have that, get people back and forth from the East Bay, from the North Bay. Golden Gate Bridge. All right, let's take a little spin through. I'm sure a lot of you have been to Pier 39. So it's like just a boardwalk. They'll have little performers that come on the stage to do their little music or magic. They have a carousel here. Lots of places to shop. Some really nice restaurants that you can check out. You can see these buildings here, what they look like. You can buy your sweatshirts. Somehow I'm on this. I hopped up onto the second level. Boy, I'm pretty athletic today. I'm feeling pretty good on my birthday. I didn't realize I could jump 2 stories. And of course, this is a pier. You'll see boats moored over on the side here. You can go out there and take a look at the birds and the boats out there. And then, a visit to Pier 39 wouldn't be anything if we didn't go and check out the sea lions. Let's go live. This is a webcam, so let's go live. This is I'll show you. This is a picture that you can take a look at, so you can kind of see what they look like when they're laying out on their docks. And then let's go live and see if we can find any out there today. Let's see what they're doing on a Friday afternoon. Let's see. Oh, we got a few lazy ones right here. The camera will change. We'll move around in a second. They're usually over to the left, but I see we have some right here. There's one swimming around. These sea lions showed up 2 months after the earthquake we had in '89. in December of, look at that guy, in 1989. One large male sea lion showed up, plopped his butt down on one of these docks. And then about 2 months later, we had about 70 sea lions hanging out here. And the city didn't know what to do because shortly after that, it became 300. So let me go to a different, let's do the back left. I think that's the one that takes you to the left. In 2009, we had 1,700 hanging out here. They stopped, they were supposed to migrate. Oh, I guess those are the only ones, the ones to the left. They're supposed to migrate migrate south to mate and everything. And some of them never did it. They just stayed here. So the city just started giving them more places to lay down. And then in 2009, we got to about there they are. Well, look at all of them. We got to 1,700 and then they vanished. They just were gone. Then they came back, and then 2014, they vanished again. So we have no control over what they do. They just kind of come here, and this is their spot. They're kind of funny because they make a lot of sound. They're very loud. Has anyone ever seen these guys? Let's see in chat here. Oh yeah, yes, you were here many years ago, and there was a museum that had carousel horses on display. Ooh, carousel horses. There was a museum that has the old games and stuff. That might have been part of it. You could find like all the old like not video games because it wasn't video, but they had these old games from the like 1920s, like I know there's one called the guillotine, and all it does, you put a quarter in there and they chop off someone's head. I mean, that was the entertainment. They had some funny ones like that. So that's the sea lions. So they just kind of hang out, do their own thing. All right. Well, time for another food break. Since we're down in Pier 39, Dungeness crab. This is another big thing in San Francisco. We have a lot of crabbing. A lot of Dungeness crab out in the ocean. We have a big crab season. It ends around culminates kind of in time for Christmas. So a lot of families do enjoy crab for Christmas. So this is a good place. Pier 39 is a good place to grab some crab. All right. So now let's take a look at Lombard Street. Someone had mentioned that they had been on Lombard Street. Oh, I've got to, you know what? I have to make sure I have my music playing because the music is pretty cool. Here we go. All righty, here we go. We're going to actually go to two places because we have two crooked streets in San Francisco. So we're going to go to Lombard Street first, and then we're going to go to Vermont Street. Lombard Street, known as the crookedest street in the world. Off at the distance, you can see Coit Tower. Now we're heading out to Vermont Street, which is the opposite side of the city. Not an area most tourists would go. It's just residential out here. This one has 7 hairpin turns. It's a little tighter. It's much tighter than Lombard. Every year they have, you know, those big wheel little bikes that kids ride. The adults have a race down this street in the big wheels. It's kind of funny because they're crashing all over each other.
Is it a 2-lane highway? 2 lanes or one?
This is one way. It'd be fun with a little ice on it, right?
Right, I'm thinking about the ice and snow.
Oh, God. If we had an ice storm here, oh my Lord. With all the hills.
There was one place in Italy that had these hairpin turns.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where, but I know in Italy when we were there.
Yeah. And someone asked if there's ever been accidents on Lombard. Yes, there has, because people have had the brakes go out going down. In fact, years ago, I had a friend of mine came and he had an older car, and we were going to drive over and go down Lombard Street. There was a bunch of us, and his brakes were smoking on other hills as we were going to Lombard Street. And I said to him, I said, hey, we're not taking this car down Lombard because I don't want to get stuck on Lombard Street. So we ended up parking the car on another street and walking down Lombard. I mean, I could smell his brakes. They were burning from the other hills. And I said, oh no, you're going to have trouble. All right. So time for another little food break. Cioppino. This is a popular fish stew here in San Francisco Bay Area. Again, its roots go back to the gold rush times. We had, again, people from all over the world came to get their fortunes, to find gold. The Italian fishermen that came here, at the end of the day, they would just take the remnants of all the fish they had and they would make it into a stew. And this became a very popular thing to have today in San Francisco. So enjoy your cioppino. All right.
Are those mussels?
Yeah,
that
looks like
mussel?
mussels and shrimp. Yeah, it's usually mussels, shrimp, crab will be in there. And whatever, yeah, like what, some type of white fish will be in there. Yeah, it's good. Has anyone ever had this? You can get it at just about all of the restaurants down near Pier 39. All the ones that serve, of course, the fish, they will have these. Am I making anyone hungry yet? All right. Next thing, we have a new feature in San Francisco called Salesforce Park. I'm going to show you a little video about this. This is built by Salesforce, the company. It's right next to their tower. They built a new tower here in San Francisco. And it's a 5.4 acre rooftop park. And below it, so when you see the pictures of this, you can see how big it is, how many city blocks it goes. And underneath it is the bus station. So all the buses, all the stuff's underneath. And they have fountains on top. When the buses go underneath, the water shoots up in the air so people can tell when the buses are coming through. You can take a look at this. I have actually gone. We had a little incident with this though when it first opened. All of us after it was only open for maybe a month or so, and a pylon was cracked, and they had to close it down. It was closed for a year. They had to fix the pylons to make sure they were stable. There's about 600 trees, 16,000 plants all throughout the park. It's quite big. I mean, look at this thing. These are not small buildings that this is next to either. These are big high rises. It's very nice to walk around the path. The path, they have a little stage to have concerts and that type of thing. And it's quite the thing. So we can take a quick look at this just to show you some of the pictures, what it looks like. Where are the pictures? Here we go. So you can see what it looks like. So if I look up here, you can see all the high rises. Look at them all. They're all around here. You can go walk around. It's a nice place for people to have lunch, get together. This is the new Salesforce Tower. It's the tallest. I think it's now the tallest building in the city. I can see it way out. You can see it from all over the city. Well, that's what this looks like. So next time you come to San Francisco, you should check this out. It's in South of Market area, near Moscone Center, kind of close around that area. Go check that out. Another famous place to go to are the Painted Ladies. The Painted Ladies, of course, are the famous Victorians. Postcard Row, they call it. There's 7 Victorians here that are considered the Painted Ladies on this block. The place to get the famous shot, though, you have to walk up here. You have to go up to the other side of this park and make a little right-hand turn, move up. And then they've been doing some work on this park. If I move back over here, now you can see people are standing around this fence. This is where you can get that famous picture of the Painted Ladies with San Francisco downtown in the background. Oops, sorry about that. Famous picture here. I do have a class on the Painted Ladies tour. If you ever see that on the schedule, come and join me. We actually talk about all the Victorian structures in the city, some of the famous houses, and the different types of Victorians. We talk about the architecture, that type of thing. Let's take a little walk around this block. A lot of Victorians survived the fires. Downtown San Francisco, we had the earthquake in 1906. It destroyed a lot of the real big Victorians. And in fact, this park, when they had the earthquake in 1906, a lot of people were left homeless. And there were a lot of people that fled downtown, and they had to put up tents in that park to house everyone until they could figure out what they were going to do with everyone that had been displaced by the whole downtown burning down. Here's some beautiful Queen Anne's here. You kind of zoom in a little bit and just look at the detailing here on these houses. There's special companies that paint these houses. A Victorian could have anywhere from 4 to 16 different colors. This one's a pretty one too. All right, and then of course we have the Westerfield House here at the corner. It's another famous Victorian in the city. Oh, this one is kind of neat. This one's been rebuilt, but they rebuilt it to have it fit in with the neighborhood. You can see how it's very modern looking. Zoom in a little bit on this one. It's very pretty. And it's right next to, they tried to make it blend in with its older sisters here. So yeah, this neighborhood, a lot of little Victorians. Yeah, so if you really love to look at Victorians and learn about the history, I definitely recommend you taking, sorry, I'm zooming in and out fast, taking a class on these great houses that they have here. So it's very typical to see these type of buildings in San Francisco. All right. Can't get away from San Francisco without talking about stairs. Since we have a lot of hills, there's a lot of stairways, and they're very pretty. A lot of them have been tiled. They've had local artists come in and tile these. They're a way for people who live in these hills. You know, the streets are very curvy. They curve all around to get up and down these hills. And if you're walking, it's a lot of walking. So for people who live in these neighborhoods, these stairs are a quick way to get from one street down to the next one and work your way down to the, the main streets. So you can see what some of these look like. They can be quite colorful. There's in one neighborhood, they have one of these stairs, and right next to it, they built a slide, which I think is kind of cool because the adults can walk down the stairs and the kids can just take the slide down. It's another one.
It's not going down. That would be a hard time. It would be going up.
Well, yeah. We have really good calves here in the city here.
Everybody's in real good shape.
You get used to stairs and hills. They're, walking up and down. And if you do a lot of walking, especially downtown, oh my, there's a beautiful ones here. Yeah,
People
you get
stepping over my body.
Oh, and someone asked, is Chinatown a good eating spot? Oh yes, very authentic Chinese food. It's not going to be Panda Express. It's excellent food though. Oh my Lord. We have food from all over the world here. That's the great thing about San Francisco. Literally, I don't know if there's any country missing here. I mean, we've got all types of food. So you can definitely, when you come to visit, you can try it all. There's so many, all types of ethnic dishes. So now Coit Tower, we're going to take a little trip here. This is a video that's going to be a little trip up the Filbert Steps. Just so you can see what these look like. I'm going to turn down the music. So these are the steps going up this hill. All these steps. Coit Tower at the top is 210 feet tall. But these steps, it's 400 steps to get up to the hill, to where Coit Tower is. You can go on the other side by car, or you can try see how well your legs are, and you can go up these stairs. Now when you see some of these stairs like this, have houses, you walk by people's houses. And some of these are considered streets. They'll actually have street names, some of these stairs. You can see a nice view here. There's the Bay Bridge. You'll get a link to this video. You can watch the whole thing. I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. The fire department stores some hoses and extra stuff here in case there's a fire, so that they can attend to the houses that are in this hill. You'll see gates to people's houses where they're, Now, some of them might have garages on the other side of the house, but there are some cottages on this. I've been up these steps. There are some cottages that do not have garages in the back. These people have to walk up and down stairs to get to their house. Like here's a house right here. So we'll fast forward a little bit here. It's really pretty though, the greenery and everything. And then they have to go up another set of steps. All right, let's fast forward a little bit to where they get to Coit Tower. So you can see Coit Tower. And again, Coit Tower, this is in it's the Telegraph Hill neighborhood, they call it. This tower was given to the city. It was built in 1932. A woman by the name of Lily Hitchcock Coit, she gave the tower. There's a nice shot there of the Bay Bridge in downtown area. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2008. And inside the tower, we're going to see the inside a little bit. They have some beautiful frescoes in the American social realism style. As these were built all around the time, this painting was done around the time of the Depression. They have 25 different on-site artists that painted these murals. This is another popular tourist site to check out. Every mural just tells a story. They do have a parking lot. You don't have to go up 400 steps. Not unless you want to. And then there's another view of the bay, Bay Bridge, Treasure Island. All right, and someone asked about Chinatown. I love looking just at these images. Chinatown is it's just the colors of the streets with all the lanterns and everything, especially if it's during a particular holiday, especially Chinese New Year. You'll see all kinds of decorations. Great place to eat, all types of food. Let's take a look at some of the photos. So you can see a little bit what Chinatown looks like. The architecture, Chinatown was almost completely destroyed in the 1906 earthquake because the fires really destroyed a lot of downtown. But they were able to rebuild. And they do build, and the architecture is very interesting. This is the gates when you come into Chinatown here. You can see them. Again, the colors, the buildings. This is the main gate entering in from Grant Street. You can see the architecture. Definitely the Chinese influence in the architecture. Lots of great restaurants to try out there. And of course, the shops that have all the statues and trinkets that you can buy and check out here. There's the Transamerica Pyramid from downtown. Fortune cookies, that's another thing. You can get fresh fortune cookies that are just baked. And look at these are dipped with chocolate. The old church in Chinatown. I don't know exactly the date on this church here. It's the old St. Mary's Cathedral. It's very old. You can see kind of the inside of it here. So that's the end of our tour. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and happy birthday.
Wonderful.
and Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the birthday thing. If you enjoy these virtual trips, I do have one on an Arctic adventure I took about 20 years ago.
Arctic or Antarctica? How about I did
Arctic.
Antarctica.
Not Antarctic. This is in the Arctic. This is in the Northwest Territories in Canada, going past the Arctic Circle. And we do have a virtual travel with Google Earth class that I do, and virtual museums. So if you
Yeah.
want to check any of these out, you can. You'll get a feedback, sent out to you in the email. You leave your feedback. If you have any suggestions for new classes, go ahead and put them in. And again, this session was recorded. You can get a copy of the recording by emailing help@getsetup.io. If you're interested in hosting your own little special interest group, let us know. We'll set you up with a guide to help you get your class together. And if you've been new, even if you're new or old to Get Set Up, our website changed a lot 2 weeks ago. If you're struggling a little bit, Marv has a class on tips and tricks to navigating Get Set Up's new look that'll walk you through the entire website, how to register for classes and everything. You can check that out there. All right. Any last comments here? Oh, happy birthday. Thank you. Yes.
You should put the virtual background of San Francisco behind you.
I know I should. Yes, I'll do that next time. So I see someone signed up for the Painted Ladies class. Yes, definitely come on in for that one. That's a fun one. All right, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. It was nice having you here today.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.